Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Caddo Parish regular meeting agenda. At this time, we'll ask you to silence your cell phones, and we'll ask Mr. Clerk for our roll call.
Dominic. Here. Lyndon Johnson.
Present.
Jackson. Lynn.
Here.
Bowman.
Present.
Cawthorn.
Present.
James Watts.
Present.
Middleton. Atkins. Chavez.
Here, sir.
Smith. Lewis Johnson. We have a quorum, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we have the Honorable Bishop L.L. Brandon here, and we will ask him to do our invocation, and then we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. Please stand.
Thank you, Madam President. Of course, maybe after I pray, our administrator will take me to lunch one day. Thank you. It's a joy and an honor to pray. So thank you for asking me. Let's look to the Lord. Father, you're certainly amazing, and we appreciate you for this day. And God, we recognize that excitement breeds excitement. And you said in your word, in essence, that we're better together. You said, behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. And Father, I ask you to bless our commission president and commissioners, and we are grateful for our administrators and the staff of Caddo Parish. And Lord God, I ask you to use them as they impact this generation in order to positively impact the next generation, and remind them that everything they do, it is for your glory, for the citizens of Caddo. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I ask everyone to face the flag, military, veterans, reservists, and active duty, hand the brown, and all others, hand over your heart. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bishop Brandon.
Thank
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson.
You're welcome.
Mr. Clerk, I have no agenda additions.
No, ma'am, I have none either.
Okay. At this time, I would like to make a motion to move up item number 20 for the confirmation of our Assistant Caddo Parish Administrator.
So moved.
Thank you. And it's been
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Mike Middleton. And, I'm sorry, and our Finance Director as well.
Oh, 1 and 2.
Yes,
So
both
moved.
items. Thank you. And that was accepted. Commissioner Dominic?
Move it up now?
Yes.
Before citizens comment?
Yes. We have a lot of employees here waiting on the
Can we,
confirmation.
Donna, I'm sorry, we have to have citizen comment before, or can we move that before?
You can move it before.
Okay.
The chair can move it.
Yeah, but the public record, says that the citizens have a right to comment on anything before you're gonna vote on it. Donna, is that correct?
I'm sorry, say that again.
The open meetings law allow the citizens' comment to occur before we're gonna vote. So we're fixing to vote on a confirmation that somebody may want to make a citizen comment about. Therefore, I was saying citizen comment needed to come first.
That is something you all can take into consideration if you're voting to move it, but I don't think it's required.
Okay, thank you.
This is a point of clarification, Madam President. Don't you have all the cards for
Yes, I do.
People
None
that
of
wanna
them
speak?
are for that.
anything for that?
No, sir, they're not.
Okay. So they would
Okay.
have the opportunity if they did.
Right, please vote. Okay, and that passes 9-1. At this time, we'll vote.
Had one to abstain.
We have one abstain.
I don't think he knew what we talking about.
Who is it?
Lewis?
Louis Johnson. I'm
Johnson,
sorry.
is that-
Okay. I don't have any results over here. Let me see if I can get some up. Mr. Johnson, will you state your reason for abstaining?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. It's just that I just entered the chamber. I was not informed as to what the vote was, so therefore, as opposed to voting yea or nay, I would either need more information or simply abstain on the vote.
Thank you for stating your reason for abstention.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, at this time,
First we have the confirmation of the Assistant Caddo Parish Administrator to confirm appointment of Ms. Erica Bryant.
Move to
Okay, that was
global and
moved.
adopt.
Uh,
Second. The Parish Assistant Administrator and the Director of Finance.
okay?
Second.
That was moved and in Global to move both number 1 and 2 of item 20, the confirmation for Ms. Erica Bryant and Ms. Haley Barnett. And that was second by Commissioner Stephen Jackson. I see no discussion. Please vote.
They want to have any comment?
And that passes 11-0. Congratulations to our CAO and to our new finance director. Would either of you have any comments that you would like to make at this time?
Sure. You know, I'll have to come to the mic. Commissioners, I'd just like to say thank you all for your support that you've provided me and the finance staff over the years. Also, the support you've provided during this interim period as I transition into my new role. I would also like to thank the finance staff, Haley, and all the staff that I've worked with over the years. I couldn't be here today without the help of those staff members, so I just want to express my appreciation to them. And then also, again, I look forward to working with each of you in my new role. So thank you.
Congratulations, Ms. CAO.
Congratulations.
3 minutes.
I'm always brief. You'll learn that quickly. Thank you, Commissioners, for the vote of confidence. It's been my pleasure to work and serve the Parish of Caddo for the last 16 years. Again, as Erica, I've learned so much from her, working under her for that time. I've also learned a lot from many of you and Dr. Wilson. The support of my husband and my daughter Reese and my other daughter Caitlin, who 2 of them are in the audience, has been, I couldn't have done anything without them.
Ask them to stand up so we can see them.
My other daughter is working, so she couldn't be here, but those 2 people are my rocks, that's for sure. And of course, the staff, the finance staff, has been, they helped me all along. So it's just, I appreciate the opportunity, the vote of confidence, and I promise I won't let you guys down.
Congratulations. I just have to say this one time for the record. Girls rock. All right, I move to put the regular agenda back in order.
So moved.
Okay. And at this time, do we need to vote, Mr. Clerk? Or can we just go back into it? Okay. Any objections? Okay, that passes by acclamation. Next item, I heard what you said, that's all right.
Next, we move to citizen comments.
All right, the citizens who wish to address the commission on any issue other than zoning, please fill out a comment card located in the chamber foyer and return to the president or the clerk of the commission. Individual comments are limited to 3 minutes. Note, citizens who wish to address the commission on matters relative to public hearings, items listed on the agenda only will be limited to a cumulative total of 15 minutes each for or against an issue. Those who wish to speak or make a presentation are asked to select their speakers and address the points they wish considered with limitation in mind. The first card I have is Martha Merritt. I'm sorry.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and staff.
It'll project for you.
Will it? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
very good.
Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Martha Merrick. I'm the Executive Director for the Food Bank of Northwest Louisiana. Do you need my address also?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I am here to speak on behalf of Resolution Number 70. It is for annexation of partial, the south side specifically of Mount Zion Road. The food bank aspires to move to Mount Zion Road. Probably in fall of next year is our slated targeted date. And we currently own that land that's on Mount Zion Road, and it is not, was not up until yesterday in the city limits. We have requested from the city of Shreveport to be annexed in, which they granted. And this resolution would allow the city to maintain all of Mount Zion Road and relieve the parish of any responsibility of that, and allow us to seek utilities, specifically sewer and water, to our building, and we hope that you will support that resolution. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. We can't ask you any questions
Okay.
at this time, but I'm sure if any commissioners have any questions after this, they know how to contact you.
Very
Thank
good.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next card I have is Judge Paul Young.
Good afternoon.
Good
Nice to
afternoon.
see you all again. I've been appearing before you for a couple of years now, warning you about the effect of the reform law changing the place of detention of 17-year-olds from adult court and adult jails to juvenile detention and the juvenile court system. We had a really pretty good summer in that the detention center was fairly uncrowded, uncharacteristically. School has started up and we're now at 24 and we're letting people go. Letting burglars go to Johnny Gray Jones Youth Shelter after adjudication because we don't have any place to keep them while the Office of Juvenile Justice is trying to find placement for them. They being crowded also and having reduced beds. I have kids that I'm having to put on probation, of course, and when they are on probation, they are sometimes surprisingly not complying with conditions of probation, and after the second or third time they're called down for it, we have a rule to show cause and put them in detention. I don't have any space in detention for those kind of kids. So they run the streets without sanctions. That not only, and here's the main point of all this, that not only adversely affects public safety, which y'all are responsible for helping us maintain, but also it hurts the child because the child doesn't get the sanctions that the child needs, and the child continues to offend and probably ends up going deeper into the system than he otherwise would have if we had imposed the detention service for that child that child needed. That's just one example that came up. So the point is, the reality of the situation is becoming reality. 17-year-olds are filling up about half of our detention center right now, a third to a half on average. Squeezing out the younger kids who nevertheless need to be in detention under certain circumstances, and I've outlined those for you in detail before. I don't need to rehash that. But come July 1st of this next year, we'll get the, on average, 9 to 15 kids held by the sheriff. We'll be getting those kids, not those particular kids, they stay in the adult system, but those types of children will be coming to juvenile detention center. 24 and 9 to 15 doesn't add up to 24. So we'll have to let even more people go, is my point. We've got 24, we're going to have 9 to 15 more come July 1st as they come into the system gradually. There's not room. The only thing I know of that is planned by the commission in some discussions might turn some ground within 2 to 3 years and might be available for the juvenile court judges in about 4 years. I don't think that's what the parish citizens want, frankly. I think they should be given a chance to vote to do something better than that. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. The next card I have is Mr. Alan Clark.
Why do we have?
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
I don't, why do we have staff coming under citizens' comment?
Because they're citizens.
But are they speaking on matters in which they are working in? Because they should be coming up under guests, because we may have comments or feedback. I'm just kind of lost on that one. But if they choose to come under citizens' comment, then they have that option, I guess.
Yes.
Okay.
The only reason I completed the card, I was denied to speak one time because I had not completed the card. So I wanted to make certain that I could come and address you. But I will be happy to speak at any time you allow me to.
Good. I think you could.
I think you're good, sir. And if anyone has any questions, we can always bring you back up during communique, so.
No problem.
Yes.
I just wanted to take the opportunity to come before the commission. We very seldom get an opportunity to come before the commission to bring you updates on what's happening with the MPC and some of the things that we're doing that are affecting the parish. We were doing a calculation of the number of certificates of occupancies and the number of complaints that we're doing in these different areas. The interesting thing about coming before the parish commission is everything that happens in the city of Shreveport is also happening in Caddo Parish. But just wanted to share with you that when we did a calculation of the zoning violations that we were investigating, up until today, we've investigated 2,455 zoning violations. We've actually investigated 105 violations outside the city limits of Shreveport. And we've done certificates of occupancies. We've done 1,000 certificate of occupancies for businesses inside the city of Shreveport. And we've done 25 for businesses outside the city limits of Shreveport. We are constantly meeting with the master plan committee. We're going through the process of updating the master plan. We will be coming back with you for assistance, and we will probably have to have a consultant to update the master plan. We will be coming before the city council and you to ask for funds in order to do this. The master plan was adopted back in 2010. It should have been updated in 2015. It was not updated. It is a old document now that is in desperate need of some form of updating to actually evaluate what we have done, what needs to be done, and where we go from here. And lastly, just wanted to thank the Parish Commission last year for the increase in funding. We're going through the budgetary process now with the city and the parish, and I hope that we have done a job that is of a nature that you will feel comfortable in funding the MPC at the level that we're requesting. And for those members of the Master Plan Committee, there's a Master Plan Committee meeting tomorrow at 12. We ask that if you would, please be in attendance. And that's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Clark. I have another comment card for L. Lawrence Brandon.
Thank you, Madam President. I really
you,
had
sir.
no intentions in speaking today. I'm L. Lawrence Brandon, 4725 Greenwood Road, 71109. I didn't have any intentions in speaking today, but when I heard Judge Young, of course, whom I have much, much respect for, talk about mentioning building prisons, I'm a proponent of prevention before detention. I know we have may have in the future some hardened criminals and what have you, and I do understand that. But I just believe that we need additional programs, positive programs to help our youth, because I don't want to see them caged as caged animals. A few months ago, I went to Ghana and visited the castles where the slaves were kept, and it was an inhumane situation. And so I really hope you would think about it and really pray about it before we decide on doing something like that. If perchance it goes to the public for vote, do know I'm going to be, I really don't wear t-shirts and all of that, but I will wear a t-shirt this time and stand on every corner that I can to stop this, because again, our youth deserve better. Now again, there are hardened criminals. I have much respect for our law enforcement, but however, we do need to give our children the best chances and opportunities available first. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for hearing.
Thank you, Bishop Brandon. Mr. Clerk, I don't have any other comment cards.
Next, we move to the Commission sits as a tax board of review for tax assessments. Tax assessor Charlie Hennington to present the 2019 tax protest to the board of review.
Hello, Commissioners.
Hello, sir.
How y'all doing? All right, today opens board review. It runs for 2 weeks. We normally have a hearing Monday, your work session Monday, which will be on the 16th, I believe. Right now, we have some personal property appeals. We're working with them, trying to figure out what the values they're trying to render. We have Aaron's Rentals from a couple of years ago. They're wanting to protest again. They're in court right now. They're in either Baton Rouge or New Orleans, and they've lost down there. So the tax commission will not hear it if they come here. There is nowhere else for them to go except to court because it's a legal issue, not a value issue. So it is an appeal because they filed an appeal, but it's really not. But let me go ahead and read this letter I read to you every year. It's dear members of the Board of Review, as assessor in and for the parish of Caddo, this is to certify that assessments on property located in and or accessible in Caddo Parish have been listed and assessed in accordance with Title 47, Section 1992. It is further certified that the said assessments have been exposed for public review for 15 calendar days beginning August 15th, 2019 and ending August 29th, 2019. Said certification of the above is hereby given to the Board of Review as required by Title 47, Section 1990, signed today. The appeals will go through Monday. This next Monday, we'll still take appeals until 5 o'clock on Monday. As far as I know, right now we don't have any more. The real estate, residential or commercial appeals we had, they've already been resolved, so we don't have any of those. So right now it's cell towers that a company called Castle Rock, and I think it's 2 different companies are we're looking at values that they rendered. They've said 2 or 3 years ago they rendered incorrect values, and that's what we've been working off of. So they're trying to get those corrected and explain why you would have rendered something incorrect. So once we get that resolved, hopefully there will not be an appeal, but then we'll probably start have errands. So on Tuesday, I'll call and tell you if we have appeals or not.
Okay.
Any questions?
Yes, thank you so much for your presentation. We do have one commissioner on the board, Commissioner Doug Dominic.
Ms. Frazier,
Yes.
do we have to do anything at this point? I mean, I guess if there are appeals, Todd will automatically set those on our agenda. Is that correct?
What we will do, we usually have a special
Meeting
board
before
or tax
that.
review board before the meeting on a work session day, which would be the 16th, I believe.
Right, and then sometimes all of you sat on it, sometimes just 3 or 4. So that's however y'all want to do it.
Thank you.
Okay.
But like I said, Tuesday morning, I'll know what appeals we officially have, and if they change between now and the next Monday, I'll call.
Okay, thank you. We'll
All right.
wait on your consideration.
Thank you.
Next item, Mr. Clerk.
We have no visitors, no special resolutions. We need to adopt the regular session minutes.
So
moved. Second.
It's moved by the chair, and it was second by Commissioner Lynn Carthorne. Please vote. Commissioner Mike Middleton?
I'll be abstaining because I was not present in the chamber on that day.
Okay, thank you for stating your reason for abstention. Please vote. Okay, that passes 10 with 1 abstain. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to communications and committee reports, administration response to information requests from commissioners.
Okay.
Good afternoon, President.
Good
Watts.
afternoon, Dr. Wilson.
Commissioners, how y'all doing?
Right.
Yeah, just a few things I need to let you become aware of. The employees picnic we had scheduled for Saturday morning has been canceled due to the high temperatures for the heat,
Great.
101 degrees, so we postponed until later date in October probably. Also, a budget retreat tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, Swipco Business Center. And as you all know, the HR department and finance was separated. And I did complete my process in selecting a director of human resources, and that person is Ms. Cheryl McGee, and she is quite able.
Congratulations.
23 years with the organization, last 13 years as HR manager, and I'm honored to be in the presence of such awesome women in parish government.
Awesome.
Yes, ma'am. That concludes my report, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
We on communiques now first?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so first thing I want to address something we talked about in our work session dealing with resolutions 76, 73, 72. So that's a request that we put to our state legislature. A few minutes ago, you just got a request from a judge basically telling you we need to be shoveling some dirt to do another pod. So as I mentioned the other day, other government agencies come and request or urge us to do things. We urge other people to do things, so it's not out of place. It's how you ask could be offensive or not, but it's not uncommon for this to happen. Clay, can you come up? I would like to hear some information from you as well. I don't like just to have one-sided information.
Yes, sir.
So how are we looking at the detention center for as juveniles that's contained?
Like the judge said, in the last 2 weeks since the start of school, we have had an increase in the population. We have gone over 24 for a few days. At the end of each day, we have to then release some children to get down to 24, and we've had to do that. That, frankly, is a process that we go through, unfortunately, regularly. But it is what we had to do in the past few weeks.
Okay. What would be the problem if we had more than 24, we put some temporary beds in a cell?
Temporary beds where, I'm sorry?
In a cell.
The bottom line is that the cells, the standards that we have to work in, the law with regard to juvenile, says that you can only have 2 beds if the cell is a certain size, and our cells are too small.
So would we be out of compliance, or
we'd
would
be
we
out
be
of
breaking the
compliance.
law?
We'd be out of compliance with the law. If DCFS came to audit at that time, we would get a deficiency. We would have to tell them how we're going to correct that. If they come a second time and we have that same deficiency, you can get in more trouble with your licensing.
All right, but at the same time, you won't go to jail, Dr. Wilson won't go to jail, and none of us up here will go to jail.
I don't believe that going to jail would be a potential result of that, no.
I'm trying to clear some stuff so the public will kind of understand what we got going on. So if we get more than 24 and we try to put another bed in, it'll basically be non-compliance, and they could basically at the end of some period come back and do a couple of audits and say, y'all are out of compliance, we're gonna pull your license.
Yes.
So when they pull our license, then what happens?
Technically, I mean, that's if they pull the license,
Cannot operate.
we literally would be shut down as a detention center.
Okay. Now, are there any agencies in Caddo Parish that we could utilize if we had an overrun of individuals that we deemed not safe to release into the population?
So what we do sometimes, for example, and I believe Judge Young referred to it, we had a child that was younger. She was in on a particular charge, and we sent that child to Johnny Gray Jones as a youth shelter because we had too many kids. So there are some like Johnny Gray Jones, but they'll only take certain
hold up
kids.
On Johnny Gray Jones.
Okay.
Explain that, because we got citizens that don't understand what
Johnny Gray Jones is a youth shelter in Bossier, and we have a certain number of beds that we can use and pay for. So if the charges are light enough, low enough, we can utilize those beds.
Okay.
And we do.
So out of the 24 we got and the 9 to 15 that may be coming, how many of those will pretty much qualify on an average to go to Johnny Gray Jones?
To be fair, if I'm understanding Judge Young correctly, the kids he's talking about coming from CCC would not. Those are more serious charges. They would not go to Johnny Gray Jones.
The ones that you currently have?
We might have some. At any given time, we might have a few that you could on our end in detention.
Okay.
It's not optimal. They're in detention because the judges chose that first. If we get to 25, releasing one to Johnny Gray Jones is their best option, if that makes sense.
So if we had a situation in which we had some 17-year-olds that were violent and we had some other ones, 15, 14-year-olds, that we deemed not necessary to release, Johnny Gray Jones was filled up, do we have any other options?
No.
Are there any other beds that we can go rent out or lease out?
Not in terms of beds. What we do at that point is we triage basically in terms of safety. If there are kids we deem are not public safety risk, could they be put on a monitor, for example, or be put under supervision of probation? They can be released and get that level of supervision.
I'm just saying we had 24,
Yes.
and then we brought over another 15 later on. So we had about 39.
Correct.
Is there any other beds that we can go get?
No, sir.
Nowhere.
Not, no, sir. So what ends up happening, if the children are in OJJ's custody, and right now we are literally at 23, and I believe 5 are in OJJ custody, we could call OJJ and say, we need to get those out sooner. So that's when we got to start moving as quick as we can. By law, they have 14 days. Right now, the kids have been, some of them have been about 8 days. So if they've got the space, OJJ could move a kid early, but there's no other beds we can use. OJJ has options. For example, if the kid is in OJJ custody, they might be able to put a kid in another detention center, but we couldn't.
All right, so with OJJ, that's regulated by the state.
It is.
So we would need to urge our legislators to change that 14 days to days that maybe be 5, 6 days.
We could. That would be very difficult. I'd only say there's been a long history. OJJ is trying to make that more like 30 and 45. They're trying to push that out.
Right,
So
which
shorten
they
it.
will be urging the legislator to push it out.
Agreed.
So we'll be urging
You could.
them to shorten the days, right?
We could.
Okay. But keep on.
That's it. I mean, we don't have any other options for kids that are in detention. If the judges have deemed them to be a public safety threat, there's no other beds to use.
So there's no third-party agencies that somebody might have a home for males or a home for females or a home that cross-gender. I mean, we don't have anything.
So sometimes, for example, if there's a girl, there are shelters for girls. And if it is a case, for example, there's a home that involves human trafficking, and if the child is also a victim of human trafficking, we might be able to use those. We already do. When we're at 24, we've already looked for every option we've got on those. When we hit 25, because we've run out of all those options.
Okay, so what if we tell the sheriff when he tries to bring some of these 17-year-olds that they need to stay at CCC until we can move around? Give us 14 days like OJJ got, or extended time.
I think the problem that he would have is he would be in violation of the same laws.
So he'll be out of compliance too.
He would be out of compliance as well.
So if he's out of compliance, what will happen to him? They gonna pull his license?
I don't know, frankly, the rules and regulations with regard to the sheriffs. What I can tell you is the family of those children could sue everybody involved. But I don't know in terms of, I know my regulations with regard to detention. The sheriff is very capable of taking care of CCC and his regulations. I don't know those.
Okay, so Caddo is not gonna be the only parish that's gonna fall under this problem. There's
True.
other parishes that don't even have a detention center.
True.
They send their kids somewhere else.
True.
All right, so the place that they send their kids, we couldn't send ours there as well?
We could at that point. There are detention centers in South Louisiana that have more beds because they intend to rent them. We'd have to come to some kind of an agreement, have a MOU with them and rent those beds.
So there is an option.
There could be those options if we rented those beds. That's not something we've really done in the past, and frankly, I don't have it in my budget. I would turn to
You don't
the,
have in your budget
finance
to build a
department.
pod either.
No, sir. I don't
Y'all
have.
down here
I don't have
pushing
budget
for it.
not to build it nor staff it. So I have no budget for either one of those.
All right, but as a short-term deal, you could rent some beds in South Louisiana.
Yes.
All right, that's all, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
I'm sorry, I'm just taken aback that we'd come in here, a judge would come in here, throw a cheap shot and walk out the door like that. That's why I asked why they weren't a part of communiques, Dr. Wilson. Is there any reason why he was not invited down?
He invited himself down.
Had he had any communication with you prior to, or?
Yeah, we met with him yesterday for lunch.
And
Erica and Hill and I met with all the judges yesterday, day before yesterday for lunch, and we kind of talked strategy towards this issue. And he made no mention that he wanted to come and speak with us today at all. I got a text at 12 o'clock today to say, could I put him on my agenda? And I said, well, today's Thursday.
right,
If he wants to speak, fill out a card and speak.
right.
And
Yeah,
that's how that went down.
I understand, but I think it speaks of, I have a lot of respect, or at least I think I have a lot of respect for Judge Young, but to come down knowing that we don't speak and communicate at that time, to at least be able to get a better understanding of what he's talking about, because I believe, Clay, I think I have a ritual where I bring you down and ask, have we let any murderers go? Have we let any murderers go?
No.
Have we let any drug dealers go?
I'm not aware of specific charges right now. The kids we've let loose, I mean, I know it's not murder.
It's some chatter in.
I think that what I heard Judge Young say.
Excuse me, Director Walker. If you would refrain from any comments in the audience. If you would like to speak, you can speak on the citizens' comments at the end of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam
What I
Clerk.
heard Judge Young reference, and I would want to get with him to look at those kids that he's thinking of, but he said a burglar. In terms of drug dealers, have we let children that have had drug charges released? We have. I don't know if he's talking about in the last 2 weeks.
But are those violent? Are those children classified as violent offenders?
No, I would say that generally speaking, we don't release what I would consider violent offenders. Just as an example, last year, in 2018, there were 32 days out of the year that we were at or over 24. So 32 days of last year, we released at least one child that the judges didn't want to. The way they do that is triage. They're going to let a burglar go instead of a murderer. They're going to let a burglar go instead of a violent charge. It's not optimal, but it's triaged in the sense of public safety, and I don't know of necessarily a violent charge we've released like that.
And so we've continued to have this conversation about increasing our parole officers. Have we done that? Have we increased our ankle monitors, folks that we're monitoring with ankles? I believe I met with somebody yesterday for lunch, and he said that he has the capacity to turn on a curfew for those monitors.
We have increased our monitors. We have bought those over the last 2 years. You all have been helpful with us that we've increased our number of monitors. And those monitors have, I mean, like your cell phones now, the technology is pretty amazing. I can, on a map, tell the kid where they can't go. You cannot go within 100 yards of the victim's home. You cannot go near this. So you can inclusion and exclusion zones.
You should be here by 8
Inclusion
p.m.
zones, you have to be at your house by a particular hour, and if you leave it, it tells the probation officer.
And it automatically rings to 911 or
Not
does it ring
necessarily
to,
that,
okay.
it can, but mostly it alerts the probation officer.
Okay. The Brandon home, aren't they contracted with OJJ right now to take in some kids?
My recollection on the Brandon home is that they are contracted with the state, and they are taking kids after their term at a juvenile prison. So a child has done 3 years at Swanson, and as they're being paroled from there, they go to the Brandon home as a step down before they go to the community.
To transition out.
Transitioning back, exactly. That's
So-
my understanding of what they're doing now.
So Caddo Parish can't enter into an agreement with Bishop Brandon for lesser offense individuals who may not be violent, but
My
they may be
recollection-
able to.
I'd have to get back with Bishop Brandon. We've met several times about it, but my understanding the last time we met was that he cannot have, by contract, he cannot have both those transition after prison and our pre-trial detainees. Detention is pre-trial. He cannot house both of those populations in one. There was some discussion about whether or not he could put up a wall literally, so that he could separate those physically.
But he has two separate buildings. He has one, and then he has a building in the back that could be used. And I don't want to belabor this particular time, but I would encourage us to please, as we talk about our capital improvements, to look at what possibilities, whether there's some contracting or MOUs. I'm willing to sit down and have conversations where I've seen where there may be a master lease type situation in place for capital improvements, those type of things.
That's something we have discussed with him, and I believe in terms of finance, we cannot put money into his facility to make that improvement. Has been that problem. But we have talked about with OJJ, can I use a walled off part as detention and you use the other for parole? We've asked about that, and as of my understanding, the last time they met, he cannot do that. But that's something we can definitely get with Bishop Brandon on, because I do think that's an ongoing conversation.
Right.
As I think was pointed out earlier, we're not the only parish having this problem. So a lot of parishes are exploring this sort of thing with the state.
I think there is the ability to do it as long as there is a public purpose involved. And so as long as we are doing this in an effort to achieve a public purpose, we could, and public safety is a public purpose. So let's just be open. Let's bring open minds to the table and have this conversation. I don't want to have murderers running out on the street, and those folks who just don't feel like they can handle the job might as well just go home. That's what I'm starting to hear, is that the pressure may be too much. And so if that's where we've gotten to, maybe that's what we need to have a professional and adult conversation about. But I appreciate the time, effort, and diligence. I don't think you've sat on your hands. I don't think the administration has sat on your hands. I don't think this body has sat on its hands and done nothing about it. We've talked as we were standing in the governor's mansion last week. The Secretary of Department of Corrections, I was in his ear about this particular issue. And so as Commissioner Lyndon Johnson mentioned, as we are urging and requesting our legislative delegation to do any number of things, that is why we do that. And that is the reason for it. And I hope we continue in that spirit, and let's continue to be open and honest and transparent. Now I'm gonna wrap it up. Transparent about it. If there is an issue that we need to address, let's come to the table, let's address it, no hidden agendas, and let's move toward a solution. But don't get up from the table having held something back. That's not right. Thank you, Madam President.
Commissioner Jackson, ma'am, can I respond to Commissioner Jackson for 1 second, please?
Go ahead.
Commissioner Jackson, I did extend the opportunity to Judge Young to come at the 16th September meeting, to appeal on our work session agenda. He said he was going to be out of town.
I understand.
So I did make that offer.
I appreciate you.
Commissioner Doug Dominic?
Yes, sir. I spoke to Judge Young before he was here. Don't want to put any words in his mouth, but I do see he has walked back into the chambers. But he basically told me he was just trying to give us a little update on where we were, and he would be happy to come back and speak to us in the future. That he, because I did tell him, I said, well, you're on citizen comment, and we really cannot ask or answer any questions at that time, and he said he understood. So I'm sure he would be happy to come back in the future. And to be honest with you, I don't want to continue this discussion and make our meeting prolonged. It's probably something that maybe be best in our Juvenile Justice Committee meeting. But Clay, I had one question for you.
Yes, sir.
I don't think this is a good idea, but it's the first time I've ever heard this. Commissioner Johnson asked about putting another bed in there, and you said the reason you couldn't is because of the size. Of course, I'm not an architect. Could those cells be increased in size anyway, or would that to where you could have two beds? Just asking.
The way the law,
or would it be, hey, that's just crazy. We just need to build a new pod.
just to be clear, the way the law is written, it lays out the size of a cell, the square footage you have to have for one child and for 2 children. Our cells right now are too small to have 2 children. Could you knock out those walls? Yes, but I think the times I've had that conversation with Kevin, he tells me you're talking about just tearing it down.
So it'd be just as it'd be just economic and feasible to build a new one. Yeah, it was cost ineffective.
Yes,
Okay.
and then there's one more concern about that, which is PREA, Prison Rape Elimination Act, says you have to have zero tolerance for prison rape. And so
Yeah,
housing,
and that's my big concern there too, so.
housing 2 children in one cell would be.
Violation of that.
That's
that
my
act.
concern is that a zero tolerance for sexual assault? That's how I interpret that. Having 1 child per cell is the safest way to run juvenile detention.
I agree. All right, thank you, Clay.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Matthew Lynn.
Director Walker, in the last 6 months, have there been any youth in the juvenile reform facility with a sole charge of marijuana?
No. Not that let me say, I mean, I would want to review that to be absolutely positive, but no. As a general matter, that's not something the detention center is used for.
Is it possible for the district attorney's office and the judges to work together and deem a 16 or 17-year-old an adult, per case scenario for a serious crime, and as charged as an adult, move them from juvenile to CCC?
They do that. We have generally about 20 to 25 transferable offenses each year, and the district attorney, roughly 4 to 5 cases are actually transferred. That's the district attorney's decision to file it that way. The judge makes the determination if the child is 14. At 15 and 16, it's up to the district attorney.
And so the district attorney's office, working together with the judges, have the ability to deem someone, a youth at the juvenile detention facility, an adult, and move them out of the facility to CCC?
Yes.
Thank you.
And
That's
they,
all, Madam
as I say, they do.
Thank you, Commissioner Lynn.
Sure, like.
I agree with Commissioner Dominic. This is a conversation that could have been had in Juvenile Justice Committee. However, it was presented here today. So I thought that each commissioner who had a question or a comment about what was said had that right to address it during this time. So I'm glad that we all were a part of the conversation, because sometimes it's hard to get all of us at a committee meeting. Director Walker, is there anything that Juvenile Detention Center has asked Caddo Parish Commission for that we have not provided?
Just say yes.
If you don't recall, you don't recall.
Within our budget constraints, no. No, you have been very generous. I mean, just as an example, we were allowed to expand our probation staff to address human trafficking. We're the first probation office in the state to have a human trafficking department, and now to have a human trafficking court. That kind of expansion, working with Dr. Wilson and when Ms. Bryant was the head of finance at the time, they've always been very generous with us, and that is with your support.
That's what I'm asking, and I'm saying that for a reason, because I want the public to be well aware and cognizant of what we're doing to try to address this issue. It's nothing that we want to sweep under the rug. We don't have anything to hide. We want to exhaust every option that is possible for alternatives to incarceration. I mean, it's a conversation that I've said many times before. We're the only ones who are discussing building another prison when all over the U.S. they're closing youth detention centers. So I just wanted to say that publicly on the record. I thank you for, what you're doing. I understand that you have a problem, but this is not a problem that you haven't had before, as you've already said. So I didn't even have to ask you that question. Has this been a problem in the past? And we know, we're not the only ones. We know that this is something that, we inherited, and we understand. We're not pointing fingers. We're not blaming anyone for the condition that is in right now, but we're here to make those alternative suggestions, to do what we can as far as the conversation that has been had. I don't know if it's something that I can discuss publicly yet, but there are plans of action in place. So I just wanted to make sure that the public is well aware that we would never do anything to risk public safety. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. This is Dr. Wilson and staff over there. How many times has the juvenile justice tax been up for citizens to vote on?
Not since 1957.
And so we're operating on a 1957 budget, right?
Could you restate the question again, sir?
How many times has it been up for public to vote on?
Oh,
Quite a few?
We've put different initiatives before the public, whether it be a sales tax or property tax, on 5 different occasions. And on each
Okay.
one of those occasions, the initiative failed.
So still operating on 1957
Correct.
tax?
We haven't had an increase in that millage since it was first
And
passed.
so we supplement that fund by how many $1 million a year?
yes.
3 point.
About 3.7.
3.7. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Thank you, Director Walker. I see no other discussion. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
President's report.
Okay, I'll be brief. Good afternoon. I hope everyone enjoyed their Labor Day. First, I want to send my prayers and thoughts to Charleston, Florida, Bahamas, and to all of those who are in the path of the catastrophic effects of Hurricane Dorian. Hopefully, when the smoke clears, we can all participate with some assistance for the citizens when those assessments of needs have been addressed. My heart is always with the bereaved families and victims of gun violence, but I'm very grateful to Walmart and Kroger's for taking notice, at least raising awareness in the agreement that we do have a problem with gun violence in the USA and over 250 mass shootings. So I just want to say thank you for your stance on that. Did I see Tim Weaver? I see you, Robert Glass. Yes, sir. Let me, I have a few questions for you. Would you come up? Hi. There is an intersection at Pines and Buncombe Road where there is a turn signal that is needed. And I think it's another one that is needed at Woolworth and Buncombe Road, Commissioner Johnson District. Can we get a meeting set up with DOTD and all involved parties so that we can try to get those lighting situations addressed?
All right, I'll check with them and see if we can set something up.
Okay. Is there any ideas on the lighting on I-49? I reported quite some time ago about all those lights that are out on Interstate 20. I know that they say they ran out of funds on 3132, and I said I'm gonna keep on asking about it until maybe they find some. It's just dark in Shreveport in certain areas, so I'm just trying to find out, are there any plans to make it brighter?
Not that I'm aware of. The city is responsible for the lights inside the city limits, but
Would
not
you
that I'm
send them
aware of.
another message about it, please?
I can check on it.
Thank you. Those were the only 2 things that I had for you. Thank you so much.
All right.
Okay, I'm switching gears. I just want to say that 54 years ago, the Voting Right Act became law. And as citizens, one of our most important responsibilities is to exercise our right to vote. I commend our Governor, John Bell Edwards, for declaring September 3rd through 6th as National Voter Registration Week. You can register to vote at these locations in Caddo or at the Voters Registrar's office. You can check those locations at www.sos.la.gov. Click Go Vote and follow the prompts. To vote in the upcoming election, you must register to vote by September the 11th, and early voting is September 28th to October 5th. Speaking of Governor John Bell Edwards, he will be here tomorrow night at the annual NAACP banquet as their keynote speaker. On Monday, I left at each one of your stations a sickle cell awareness walk flyers. Did you all get them? Okay. I hope that you'll be able to join and support the cause. The individual costs are $30 and the businesses are $100. It'll be held at Bill Cockrell Pines Road on September 14th at 8 a.m. Yours truly will be sharing our story as a mother raising a warrior battling sickle cell disease. I would like to send a congratulations to the recipients of the Black Caucus Police Jury Association scholarships, which were Red River Parish, Caddo, and Calcasieu Parish. And lastly, I just want to say that I'm elated to serve another term unopposed as Commissioner of District 7. It's an honor to be in service. Thank you to my constituents for this opportunity to continue representing us in the parish of Caddo. And that will conclude my report.
Next, we move to public hearing on zoning ordinances and cases. Ordinance number 5894-2019 in regards to zoning case 19303-P, amending the zoning of property located on the south side of South Lakeshore Drive, approximately 1,500 feet northeast of Duncan Road, Caddo Parish, from R17, single-family residential zoning, to R112, single-family residential zoning.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance number 5894? Is there anyone here to speak against it? I see none. I declare this public hearing on ordinance number 5894 closed.
Move to public hearing on regular ordinances. Ordinance number 5895, declaring the intent of the parish under LARS 47:2236 to acquire full ownership interest in 4 parcels, namely the northeasterly 95 feet of lots 1 and 2 Dahl and Jones subdivision, the southwesterly 30 feet of lots 1 and 2 of Dahl and Jones subdivision, a lot in Towle 34 corner of Sprague and Lawrence Streets being tract 2 in the city plat 884, and lots 24 and 25 land subdivision Towle, Shreveport Geo. I won't call the Geo numbers.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance number 5895? Is there anyone here to speak against ordinance number 5895? I see none. I declare this public hearing on ordinance number 5895 closed.
That closes the public hearing on ordinances. We move to zoning ordinance for final passage. Ordinance number 5894-2019 regards to zoning case 19-303P.
Commissioner Lewis Johnson?
Yes, I'd like to move to postpone this to our next meeting, if I could, please.
Second.
Okay. And that's been moved by Commissioner Lewis Johnson and second by Commissioner Stephen Jackson. Would you like to speak on your motion, Commissioner Johnson?
Yes, thank you. I just have one question. I need a little more information I'd like to have before I approve it for passage. So I ask that my fellow commissioners would support me on moving it to the next meeting.
You're the commissioner, sir.
Thank you.
All right. I see no further discussion. Please vote. Okay, and that passes 10-0. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to ordinance for final passage, ordinance number 5895-2019.
So move for adoption.
Second.
Okay, that was moved by Commissioner Stephen Jackson, and that was second by Commissioner Lynn Carthorne. Commissioner Jackson, would you like to speak on your motion?
I don't see Bishop Brown. I think he was originally down here for that, but this is a project that they're a development, I shouldn't say project, a development that they're working on, and we were glad to support it and appreciate staff for working with them on it. Thank you.
Okay. I see no further discussion. Please vote.
What number is this?
5895. Okay, and that passes 10-0.
Next, we move ordinances for introduction by title, ordinance number 5896, amending the budget estimate revenues and expenditures for the Economic Development Fund for the year 2019 to provide an appropriation of $100,000 to conduct a disparity study. Ordinance number 5898-2019, declaring a certain adjudicated properties to be surplus and to authorize the parish administrator or designee to sell the parish's tax interest in certain surplus adjudicated properties. Ordinance number 5899, to deem property surplus and authorize the sale of surplus property owned by the parish of Caddo. Next, we would need to ratify the minutes
So
of work
moved.
session.
Second.
Okay, that was moved by the chair, and that was second by Commissioner Lewis Johnson?
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Jackson, you on the board to
Yeah, I
speak?
just wanted to make sure, Todd, did we get those changes in the vote on the president and vice president? Did we catch those? Okay, just wanted to be clear. Appreciate it. That's
Okay.
it.
See no other discussion? Please vote. Okay, and that passes 11-0.
Next, we move to resolutions. Resolution number 70, to authorize the Caddo Parish Administrator to consent to annexation by the city of Shreveport.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that was moved by Commissioner Mario Chavez, and that was second by, Commissioner Mike Middleton. Okay, Commissioner Chavez, would you like to speak on your motion?
Sure, thank you, President. Martha, thank you for coming down and speaking on this.
And thank you for the city of Shreveport for being willing to take this into their system. I know it'll save us a little bit of money, so I'm gracious for that. And Martha, for all that you guys are doing for Caddo Parish, thank you guys. Commissioners, I'd ask that you support this. The food bank does amazing stuff for our community. I don't need to even go into it. You guys know how much it is, so thank you for your support.
I got a few muscles over there packing boxes.
Thank you, President.
Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
Yeah, I appreciate Martha for coming down. We were a little confused. I don't know. I whispered over to Commissioner Lynn, and I told you out in the hallway, you might want to consider the parish maintaining your right of way. But thanks for the explanation and about the distribution centers that you prefer that they actually go out, because that was getting a little confusing for me. So appreciate the clarification and thank you for what you do. Appreciate it. That's it. That's it for me.
Okay, I'm trying to switch it over. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to englobo and adopt resolution number 70, resolution number 71, resolution number 77, resolution number 78, resolution number 79.
Second.
Okay, so that was moved to englobo and adopt. Mr. Clerk, would you state those numbers again for the record?
I will try, yes, ma'am. Resolution number 70, resolution number 71, resolution number 76.
No, 77.
77, 78, and 79.
Right.
Okay. Would you like to speak on your motion, Commissioner Johnson?
No.
And that was second by Commissioner Stephen Jackson. So, all right. I see no other discussion. Please vote. Okay, that passes 11-0.
Now that brings us to resolution number 72 of 2019. Urging members
So
of
move for
Northwest
adoption.
Region-
Second. That was moved by Commissioner Stephen Jackson and second by the chair. Commissioner Jackson, would you like to speak on your motion?
Just, I think this is a opportunity for us to send another message to our legislative delegation as well as the legislature that Caddo Parish is for equal pay for equal work. I think it's time that our state comes into alignment with that. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, sir. I see no other discussion. Please vote. And that passes 7-4.
Resolution number 73, urging Louisiana State Legislature to repeal state overreach into the local control of worker protection policy.
So move for adoption.
Second.
Okay, that was moved by Commissioner Stephen Jackson and second by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. I was also told that we're having some audio problems on Facebook. Ms. Greenlee, if you would, check that out. Thank you.
And the website.
And the website. Thank you. Commissioner Stephen Jackson, would you like to speak on your motion?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Commissioner Mike Middleton?
Thank you. As I stated the reasons of the day, I'll be voting no on this matter. Thank you.
Okay. All right, I see no other discussion. Please vote.
Senator 73.
73.
Mr. Cawthorn?
He's not abstaining, he's not supporting it. And that passes 7-4.
Resolution number 76.
So
Urge
moved.
Louisiana Leg-
Second.
Okay, that was moved by the chair and second by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. And this is a simple request to ask the Louisiana Legislature to add the Sickle Cell Awareness Louisiana license plate to be selected as a choice of specialty vehicle place in Louisiana. There are several states who are joining this cause to raise awareness against sickle cell disease. They have breast cancer awareness plates among many others. And sickle cell is a disease that plagues our community, and we would like to raise awareness there. So I ask for your support. Thank you. Please vote. That passes 11-0. Next item, Mr.
We have no old business, we move to new business. We have to confirm the Town of Vivian appointment of Mr. Steve McLaurin.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that was moved by Commissioner Doug Dominic, and that was second by, okay, he'll take it. Second by Commissioner Stephen Jackson. Okay.
Gotta wake up
Commissioner-
up here.
Vice President Chavez, would you like to speak?
Oh, no, thank you.
Okay. Doug, that was your, I'm sorry, that was your motion. Would you like to speak on that?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
I gave it to Vice President
Anybody
Chavez.
request a resume?
Yeah, well,
I'd like to be that
I
tall.
didn't need a resume.
I know you
Okay.
did, but normally if I put someone in, everybody requests a resume. So I just asked. Thank
Are
you.
we voting now?
Yeah, we ready to vote.
All
I just
right.
had that 2 cent in, that's all.
Mr. Atkins?
I'm sorry. I'm just adding my
Mr.
2
Smith?
cents.
I hear it.
Thank you.
And that passes 11-0. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
All right, next we move to adoption of registration of voters candidate interview dates and times to set the interview order, dates and times for candidates.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to set the dates for Saturday, September 21st at 9 a.m. and Friday, September 27th at 10 a.m.
Second.
Okay, that was second by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. I'll reserve my comments. Commissioner Doug Dominic.
Yeah, I'd like to make a substitute motion to hold the interviews on Thursday, September 26th, and Friday, September 27th, beginning at 9:00 a.m.
Second.
to be held in alphabetical order, with the interview times being set in 15-minute intervals.
Second.
Okay, we have a substitute motion by Commissioner Doug Dominic and second by
Would you
Commissioner
repeat that,
Mike
please?
Middleton.
Yeah, you want me to repeat it?
Madam President.
I'll get Todd to repeat it back.
So, can I speak?
Good.
So the motion is to, the substitute motion was to set the dates of September 26th and 27th at 9 a.m. and have the applicants in alphabetical order, and that they be set for 15-minute intervals.
Okay, Commissioner Doug Dominic.
Yeah, the intent on that is not, I know that we've previously voted, I think that the interviews will be 30 minutes long, if I'm correct. And I'm not trying to change that. What we're trying to say is each person would come at 15-minute intervals.
I think it was
And-
already at 15 minutes.
Well, I have not seen anything like that, so I want to get that down, because what I'm saying is, if someone comes at 9 and we get through with that person at 9:15, I don't want to have to wait until 9:30 to start the next interview. Some of them may be a little bit long, and some of them may be a little bit late, and I think that that's a good compromise to work it out if we're able to get through with someone in 15 minutes. If we're not, obviously, we'll take 30 minutes and the person will just have to wait. I think that it's important to have these interviews on a back-to-back day. I really would like to do it all in one day, but I don't like having it a Thursday, waiting a whole week, and then going on a Saturday. Our memories sometimes fade. It's just too long. I think there's some objections to Saturday. Obviously, we will have to have additional employees here. We'll have to have our out front, the building's closed on Saturday. We'll have to pay, I'm sure, extra to have security here with the deputies. Also, people who work the camera are hourly. I know that you're going to say, well, Dr. Wilson and Donna is on salary, and even some of our clerks. I don't think that's good on salary. And number two, I know that some of you guys are running for election. Y'all need to be knocking on doors on Saturday. So I just think Thursday and Friday is a good time, and I think the 26th and 27th are a good date, and I would ask for everybody to support that motion.
Okay. Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, President. Thank you, Commissioner Dominic. You actually stated a lot of very good reasons, so I think for the cost prohibitiveness enough to save the parish some money. Those are some good ideas on the Saturday. I didn't even consider that, but I do like what you have to say about that 15-minute time stack. I understand what he's saying is not 15 minutes per person. We're still going to stick to our 30 minutes, but it's kind of like when you go to the doctor at 9 a.m. and you're sitting there at 10 a.m. still in the lobby. It's what the doctor does. So I think that's a good idea. That way we can ensure that all the candidates show up on time and that we're meeting one right after the other. And also so that it's fresh in our mind that we meet everybody on Thursday and Friday, and then collectively, I know we'll be able to make a decision at the end of the day on Friday as opposed to waiting an entire week and then maybe forgetting some of the stuff that some of the people said the week prior. So I'm very amicable to your substitute motion, and I'll be voting for that. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, President.
Okay. Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make a substitute motion. Can I do that, though? A substitute to a substitute?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so based upon the motion would be to do it on a Saturday, and based upon the 15-minute interval, even if we do 15 minutes, that's at least 4 candidates an hour. That's 5 hours we can be done. And then you're gonna have some that will probably take the 30 minutes. So within, say, 6-7 hours, we done in one day.
Second. Okay. So we have a motion and a second.
Which Saturday?
Which Saturday? We can pick one.
You need to pick one. Are you saying all of them in one day is what you're saying?
Yes.
Preferably after October 12th, be nice.
We can't because.
I know, I'm kidding.
One second.
If we start at 9,
Is it, maybe a
We-
point of order,
we
is
done
it
about
possible, could
State your point.
could
Go ahead.
Commissioner Lyndon Johnson throw out some Saturdays that we could all possibly be available? And I'm available every Saturday. And so if there's a Saturday that 3 or 4 commissioners aren't available, but there's a Saturday, sooner or later that all the commissioners are available, I really think that would be best, because it does interfere with work for some of us that take off work to be here right now.
I would
Thank
say
you.
September 21st, since that was already the date proposed.
Okay. That's it, Commissioner Johnson?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And also alphabetical in order as well. Keep that.
Okay. Commissioner John Atkins.
Dynamics have changed. I withdraw my request to speak.
All right. Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
Oh, I was just going to point out, and Commissioner Lynn pointed out the work obligation, and so it's some of us make the sacrifice to come down here doing work to do these and committee meetings and other meetings. So I would ask that we take that into consideration and go with the Saturday. I'm fine with doing a marathon. I see LSU plays Vanderbilt that day, and Grambling plays Alabama State. So I don't have travel plans that Saturday. So I'm good with the 21st.
All right. That's it?
Yes, that's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Lynn Carthorne.
Yeah, this may not even be a part of the topic anymore, but I was under the impression we were going to be polled, and after the Monday meeting, Commissioner Chavez mentioned a couple of dates, the 21st, a Thursday and a Friday date, and a 12th and a 13th date. So was anyone polled?
Yes,
Because I was under the
sent it
impression
to
we were
Commissioner,
going to individuals, and we were going to vote on those particular dates. So I did.
I didn't get.
Oh, you're talking about the actual applicants?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they're just gonna have to
I'm talking
adjust
about the
their
day we was going to do
schedules.
the interviews.
Okay.
You familiar with that?
Yeah, that can I speak?
That was the Monday you was mentioning.
Right.
You
Yeah,
and Commissioner Chavez.
everybody said more people were better with the Thursday and Friday. 2 people were good with the Saturday, and Commissioner Lynn said after 3 p.m. Thursday and Friday.
Okay, and that was the text message that I sent to you, and you responded, sounds great.
Right. Well, that
Okay,
was-
with these dates, the ones that I proposed. Okay.
So we didn't get enough votes for the 12th and 13th.
But we were not counting votes outside of a quorum, right?
It hadn't gotten to that level just
Okay.
yet, but I am listening.
No, it was just
It's going that way.
available dates for commissioners, which what was gathered. That was it.
Okay, Commissioner Lynn Carthorne, you still
I'm
have?
finished, you go ahead.
Okay. Vice President Chavez,
Thank
second
you,
time
President.
around.
Miss, let's see, I guess who's over finance now? Either one of you guys. This would be a question. Just a rough estimate. What is the parish looking at on a Saturday meeting? If we come up here full day, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., what's the cost of the parish if we do that as opposed to doing a Thursday or Friday? Rough estimate, so that we know that knowledge.
It's gonna be a few thousand when you
A
consider
few thousand?
the deputies.
Overtime for the security force.
And we'll try to offset where we can, that if we have to let some people off during the week in order not to pay the overtime, but we'll work all that out, but it'll probably be a 2,000 to 3,000 maybe.
2,000 to 3,000? Okay, I think we should consider that nonetheless. Thank you, guys. Thank you, President.
All right. I see no further discussion. Are you trying to be on the board? Commissioner Lynn?
No.
Okay.
I don't think I pressed the button.
All right. We're voting on the substitute to the substitute motion first.
Repeat it.
Mr. Clerk, would you please
And I need a
read
little clarification. It's for Saturday, September 21st,
first?
21st at 9 o'clock a.m.
I didn't say the time, but 9 is fine.
But
Or 8,
you want them at 15-minute
15-minute intervals.
intervals, still 30-minute interviews, but 15 minutes.
Possible it leads up to 30
Okay,
minutes.
15-minute intervals. Okay.
Up to.
Right.
Okay.
And in alphabetical order.
In alphabetical.
Okay. Everyone has clarification? Okay, please vote.
That's the Saturday.
Okay, and that passes 6-5.
Okay, all right.
All right, next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we have communications committee reports.
Commissioner Stephen Jackson?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I want to note that there is a there's a committee, I think the city of Shreveport will host this afternoon for those who are watching in the Cherokee Park, North Shreveport area at Mamie Hicks regarding the bond election upcoming. So want to encourage those who are watching us at home and online, if you can attend to get information from the sources and not necessarily from the sideline. Also, want to, Dr. Wilson, I don't know if I want to do this as an action item, but the Independence Bowl, if we could ask them to give us a visit, could we look at that legislation? Because somebody, maybe Attorney Frazier, could you pull the legislation that assess the tax, the hotel motel tax for those three entities? Because I thought that it was supposed to be up for renewal, or they were supposed to make a report back to the legislature after 3 or 4 year period. I'm asking this because we've lost our, and I'm not picking on the bowl. I know that's usually how people spin it, is you're picking on the bowl, and this is not to nitpick at the bowl, but we have lost the conference agreements as well as we've lost the title sponsor. And what I have seen as I turned my TV on, not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before, Camping World was sponsoring a kickoff classic, and Abacare this past weekend sponsored another kickoff classic over in Dallas. And so it just seems that that's sort of the wave of the future, and the bowl business is getting so competitive. And the fact that 2 of the last 4 sponsors are now doing what you call kickoff games. And so the citizens had to vote on that. I believe the Parish Commission had to agree to that. City Council had to agree to that. So there was some input from our governing bodies. And I think it's time for us to come back to the table and have some conversation about that. I'm not saying throw the Independence Bowl Foundation away, but are there ways that we can do college football more than just one day out of a 365-day year that gives us the best bang for our buck and give the citizens the best bang for its buck? And so if we could look at the legislation as well as reach out to the foundation to ask them if we can get a briefing. If not, we can just put something on the agenda to request them to come down. And I thought they were supposed to submit reports to us annually. I have not seen that from Raza, from the bowl,
From the independent?
from those 3 entities and the sports commission. And I don't know if we haven't seen one. So So if we could start back on getting on that. The other thing, and this may be a...
Before you move,
I'm sorry.
we have a point of order from
Yeah.
Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Sure.
Yeah, I was gonna try to give you some, Missy Sellers gonna be here at the next work session.
Okay.
To give an update on the Independence Bowl.
Okay.
And is also a member of the Sports Commission. We're also looking at having some additional college games, trying to line those up and trying to find how we can actually do that align with some of the regional colleges in the area. So that's something that we're working on. I was gonna get that report at our next meeting in September, but since you brought it out, I'll give you more information as it comes close, because we're supposed to have another meeting of a smaller group to try to see how we can align some of those games here in Shreveport.
Thank you for stating your point. Your point has been taken. Commissioner Jackson, you have the floor.
Yes, and then the other thing is we are well past the second half of the year, and we've only had one intergovernmental meeting. And so, Todd,
It's the city.
could we reach out to find out to Mr. Thompson, Art Thompson, and the council chairman, when will we have, because we're coming up into budget time, and we need to start having those conversations as we start preparing budgets with regard to the city, the parish, as well as the school board, and just idea sharing as well.
Commissioner Jackson, I
Sure.
just want to state a point. Mr. Clerk, did you send them a request back in July about this? Because I reminded them that it was time. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that it was
They have
record.
not come back
Well,
with.
then,
Okay.
and then, so once we skip that second quarter and we go into the third or fourth quarter, at some point, it falls to the school board, right? So I guess,
They usually just like to take it after we do ours, city does theirs, then school board.
so if the city never agrees to do one, then we just don't have one?
I can contact both again.
Yeah, or the parish we can just call one, but I think at some point, because as I hear Mr. Clark saying, he's gonna need for us to come back and appropriate some resources for the master plan, it's time for us to start having these conversations so we don't pass budgets. And the security guard situation was an example where that stuff should have been fleshed out or at least discussed at some point. The master plan funding sounds like one instance where we need to start having these conversations. I continue to talk about going to a consolidated tax collection bill where the sheriff is collecting for everybody. I think previous city administrations had objections to that. Now is the time for us to start having those conversations. So Todd, if you would reach out to both, and if not, the parish commission can just take the lead and do that, but I think we should reach out to both to see who's willing to host. Last thing, Dr. Wilson and Ms. Bryant, if we could reach out to our financial institutions to get a report or some type of briefing on where we are with CRA activities for the year, and what do they have planned for 2020 as well. And I know if I'm being a pest, if they say that Jackson guy's being a pest, it's because I am, and it's because that's what they said they would do. And so I'm not asking them to report on or to do anything that they did not say that they would do or at least take under advisement. That's it for me. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay. Commissioner Lewis Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. Over the last week, I've had occasion to need some assistance from both Mr. Robert Glass of Public Works and Mr. Alan Clark of the MPC. And they were both very responsive and very helpful in that respect. So I wanted to say thank you to both of you for helping me and being responsive to those concerns that I had. And Madam President, as it relates to the lighting that you spoke about on Woolworth Road, I did have a meeting with Ms. O'Neill,
Okay.
and I'm awaiting confirmation from the state and a few others. But I'll still get with Robert to make sure that we make that happen.
That's great. Thank you.
In that regard. Tomorrow at the Rose Center, we have the dedication, an angel dedication at 6 o'clock, and it just makes a very special place even more special. They're doing a great job out there at the Rose Center, so I want to make sure that everyone is aware of that and invite those who can or would to come and take part in it. The area is very excited about it, so I want to mention that. And lastly, again, I want to say congratulations to Miss Erica and Miss Haley Looking forward to working with you guys and proud of the decision. Thank you very much.
All right. Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, President. I wanted to quickly touch on one of the agenda items that we had was for the discrimination, and I did some digging. I just wanted to share this information with the public. We already have 2 organizations in Louisiana, the Louisiana Commission on Human Rights, as well as the Federal Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, which discrimination by type is under age, disability, equal pay, compensation, genetic information, harassment, national origin, pregnancy, race, color, religion, retaliation, sex, and sexual harassment. So I know some people may have been surprised that some of us voted no on there, but rather than, and I'm glad we didn't discuss this all day long, I just wanted to share with the public a good phone number where if you feel that you've been discriminated upon unequally with regards to pay or race or gender, the Louisiana number is 225-342-6969, and they can help you file a claim on that. So I think that's some good information for the voters to know. Moving gears, I wanted to thank Samuel Kelvin. I got to witness at 7 p.m. last night the mosquito truck driving down the street in my district, and I've had a lot of complaints from some people from an overgrown ditch that is not Caddo Parish's ditch, but rather within the city limits. I know Tim Weaver's been working on getting that fixed, but it was a good feeling to keep telling these guys, don't worry, they're going to come tonight. I promise you they're coming. And that sucker drove right by at the exact time. So I really appreciate that. Hard at work, Caddo Parish. Thank you, Dr. Wilson. So thanks, guys. President, back to you.
Was the truck going slow? Because I heard we need a new mosquito truck. Commissioner Lewis Johnson.
Yes, I overlooked my last note, which is about September 11th and the remembrance. Just want to make sure that everyone is aware of the upcoming remembrance, and that as a background and career in the fire service and in public safety, our commitment is that we shall not forget. And so I want to make sure that I remind everyone about the September 11th remembrance that we have in the area.
Thank you. I'll be there in spirit. I'll be in Lafayette for Tulane University Early Childhood Policy Training. Commissioner Carthorne.
Yes, I want to congratulate our employees that were promoted today officially. I think it's paramountly important that we recognize people who have done a good job and who've been elevated to the next level. I always like to give people flowers while they're living, so I want to say publicly congratulations to Ms. Erica Bryant, Ms. Haley Bartlett, and Ms. McGee, who's going to be the Director of Human Resources.
Yes.
And I also want to piggyback on Commissioner Chavez's statement as it relates to Animal Service Control. They're having a great 7 days. As I mentioned on Monday, they retrieved the water moccassin snake over in the Lynbrook section of town. So I see they're just on it, and so I want to publicly congratulate them on the valiant effort that they're doing in that department. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner.
All right. I see no other discussion.
Move for adjournment.
I'm sorry, I didn't see you on the board.
I just got a question for staff. When will we get the resumes to start looking over them?
Yeah.
Is that a?
They'll come this afternoon, probably tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you all. Congratulations.
I didn't see you.